Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So Lee Fong from The Intercept, he does some incredible reporting, and he just came out with an unbelievable recording that he was able to obtain. It's from a leaked call between Senator Joe Manchin and a group called No Labels. So this is a group that claims that they want to foster bipartisanship in government. They want to sing kumbaya with each other, and they want to prevent the radicals, the far right or the far left, from implementing policy. What it really is, though, is a group of billionaires like hedge fund managers and private equity firm owners that want to maintain the status quo. They want to keep the money flowing to the top 1%, to people like them, while giving everyone else the middle finger. That's really what their goal is, and I'll prove it to you. So the beginning of this call, this recorded call, you hear one of the founders of this group. Her name is Nancy Jacobson, and she's bragging about raising $20 million to give to lawmakers to basically bribe them. This is the legal bribery that goes on in our country, thanks in large part to Citizens United and the, right-wing judges who voted for that. So what she basically says and admits to, what she says is, we're going to see how the next vote goes. So they're going to see how that goes. And then she says that they're going to reward, and she actually uses that word. It was pretty mind-blowing. They're going to reward lawmakers who vote the way they want them to vote. They're going to reward lawmakers for voting on bipartisan bills, which again is just an absolute flat-out lie. She actually said that their group will have the backs of these lawmakers who take bipartisan votes. That is bullshit. That is 100% bullshit. Here's why I say that and why I can prove it. Do you think that this group, if a bipartisan group of lawmakers wanted to impose a wealth tax, if a bipartisan group of Democrats and Republicans said, yeah, you know what, I'm all for a wealth tax on billionaires, would they be rewarded by this group? Hell freaking no. No way. If a bipartisan group wanted to impose a fee on stock trades, which is something that has been proposed, would those lawmakers receive money from this group because it was bipartisan? No freaking way. So anyway, but this is the game they play. This is what they tell people. This is what they pretend to be. And Manchin is all in with them. So they're having this conversation. In it, Manchin admits that he almost voted for Trump's 2017 tax scam. He almost pulled the trigger on that one. But for Mitch McConnell basically selling him out, basically telling him, I don't need your vote, and getting it elsewhere, he would have voted for it. To give all that money, 80% of it went to the wealthiest in this country. And the middle class and lower income got next to nothing, got shafted. So McConnell said, I don't need your vote. I've got somebody else at the last minute. So Manchin is pissed. And he tells this group that basically Manchin had worked with him. Manchin wanted certain things added into this bill in exchange for his vote. And so everything that Manchin manipulated and worked with McConnell to get in this bill got tossed out. So that's the only reason he voted against it. So later in the call, Manchin says, I'm being attacked. He's complaining about how he's being attacked because he doesn't want to vote for SR1. That's the For the People Act. Now, I've talked about this on the show a couple of times. There is nothing more important right now, guys, if you hear nothing else I say on this show, hear this. If SR1 does not pass, everything's done. Everything's over. The Republicans are going to gerrymander the maps, and nothing is going to stop them from winning for at least the next 10 years. SR1 takes the district boundary writing, the writing of those boundaries for each district out of the hands of partisan groups, and it gives that responsibility to outside third parties, to independent third parties that can do a better job, which is, if this group really wanted bipartisanship, if they really wanted everybody to work together and things to be fair, they would be all for it. But Manchin is against it. Now, Manchin was boo-hoo-hooing on this call saying, well, everybody's attacking me. People are saying that the only reason I won't vote for it is because it's not bipartisan, because it doesn't have Republican support. But that's what he said. That's what she said. That's what he's been saying. He's been saying, I don't want to vote for it because Republicans aren't on board. He's given no other reason. Well, now we know why. Because on this call with his donors, where he pulled off the mask, he came clean about why he doesn't want to vote for a bill that will save democracy, that will get dark money out of our politics, that will level the playing field for progressives, for even far right-wingers, for people who aren't necessarily as popular and can't bring in as much money. It doesn't just help Democrats, it helps everybody. So if you're somebody who likes Trump and likes people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, you would want SR1 to pass because it gives them funding that they can't get elsewhere. But the reason Joe Manchin told these donors that he doesn't want to vote for it is because he has wildly unpopular opinions. That's why, because again, he showed himself for the Republican that he truly is. He told the group he's for purging voters. He specifically said that if people haven't voted in a while, they should be purged. If they miss 1-2 cycles of voting, they should be purged. People move. People forget. Oh, God, I got to re-register now that I've moved to a different area. People get sick. Shit happens in life. Maybe someone had cancer and they weren't able to get out and vote. It wasn't top of the mind for them. Sometimes people don't like the candidates that are running and they figure, I'm not going to bother to vote. Why should you lose your ability to vote just because you missed 1 or 2 cycles and didn't vote? That's complete bullshit. The other thing he mentioned, which is totally unpopular, is that he's for mandatory IDs. He wants an ID requirement. Okay, well, there are certain people, like Native Americans, who don't have traditional IDs. They don't have the same type of IDs that the rest of us do. Students, for example, also don't have an ID that shows the address where they're currently living. If they're living on campus and they're voting in that area because that's now their residence, they don't necessarily have a new ID showing the school address. They still have an ID showing their home address. There's all kinds of situations like that that come up where having an ID is not necessarily easy for people. There are people in rural America who are poor. They don't get out. They don't drive. They don't have a standard ID. And then he's also against same-day registration. Explain that to me. Okay, if you have ID, if you implement voter ID laws, and you have been voting, but for some reason you were wiped off the voter rolls, maybe because of these racist laws that the GOP is passing all over the country, where they remove people because of like one letter is off in their name. Really? You can't go in and register that day? Just more bullshit. So then he goes on and on. Right after saying all this, he goes on and on about protecting democracy. Then he gets to the most important issue, the filibuster. Because without abolishing the filibuster, SR1 will not pass. If SR1 does not pass, I'm telling you right now, Democrats will have to get like 55% in every race just to win. It will not be, oh, you got 51% and the Republican got 49%, so Democrats win. No, Democrats will have to outperform unbelievably. And with all of these other laws that they're passing to get rid of people, wipe them off the voter rolls, that's going to be near impossible. So I'm telling you guys right now, if SR1 does not pass, we are going to live under minority rule for at least the next 10 years, at least until the next census that's maybe, hopefully, conducted legitimately, not like this last BS one that was conducted by Trump. So Manchin, that is, he makes this huge deal about preserving the filibuster. In his mind, you have to preserve the filibuster to preserve democracy. It's going to save democracy, which again is a bunch of BS. So here's his solution. He tells these donors that the way to protect the filibuster, the way to prevent Democrats from going after and getting rid of the filibuster, is to basically take away their argument that Republicans are just unreasonable and that they won't vote for anything, which we all know is a fact. It's just an empirical fact. So his idea is, you've got to get Republicans. We just need a few more Republicans to throw Democrats a bone, to appease them, to calm them down for a while. So what we need to do is get enough Republicans to vote for the January 6th commission to investigate what happened on January 6th. If you do that, and he tells these donors, we've already got seven Republicans who are willing to go along with this. So we just need 3 more. So his idea, and what he essentially tells them to do, is to bribe Republicans. And he names names. He specifically mentions Roy Blunt, Republican Roy Blunt, and he says, he's retiring soon probably, and he's going to need a job after he retires. So he's basically telling them, gosh, I wish one of these big money donors on this call could go and bribe him with a job after he leaves Congress, after he's out of the Senate, basically approach him and say, hey, nice future you got there, nice retirement you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. This is why everything happens, guys. This is why lawmakers do or don't do everything. Everything you see happening has to do with not whether or not they give a damn about making their constituents happy. It's all with an eye on, how can I keep my wealth? How can I maintain this wealth that I have built up? I want to retire. I want out of public life, but I still want to go work for one of these lobbying groups, or I want to go work for one of these hedge fund management companies, or I want to go sit on a board somewhere and get paid millions of dollars a year just so that I can go and then put the screws to my old colleagues in the Senate or people I know in the House. And so these big companies can use me because I know people on Capitol Hill and they're willing to pay top dollar for it. So that's what Manchin is telling them. Look, Blunt is going to be in the market for a job. He's going to be out of Congress soon. He's going to want big bucks. He's going to want a cushion when he gets out. And you guys can offer him that in exchange for his vote to get that January 6th commission through. Yeah, this is how it all is made. This is how it goes down. It's disgusting. So, I mean, in Manchin's mind, we have to maintain the filibuster. That saves democracy. So let's just pat the Democrats on the head. Let's give them one thing. Let's just give them this January 6th commission. And then they'll be okay. And it doesn't matter if Biden gets anything else through, because we're not going to get rid of the filibuster. We're no way, no how. I don't want to get rid of the filibuster. So that's off the table. And the only way to save it is with that. I don't care about infrastructure. I don't care about health insurance for all of these people who have lost their livelihoods over the last year and who've lost their health insurance because of COVID. I don't care about all the people out there who have life-threatening diseases, who can't afford health care, who don't have a job. And because the only way you have health insurance is in this country, in many states, is if you have a job. I don't care if anything else gets done. I don't care if we save the environment. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is maintaining the filibuster. And make no mistake, these billionaires on that call also only care about maintaining the filibuster. And you know why? Because the filibuster it doesn't save democracy. It only protects special interest and big money donors. That's it. These people don't give a damn about bipartisanship when it comes to what we, the people, want. The majority of voters want a wealth tax in this country. The majority of voters want Medicare for all. Voters want a $15 minimum wage, federal minimum wage. That is a majoritarian issue. The majoritarian issue in this country is to get dark money out of politics. Yet here's Manchin talking about getting dark money out of politics. He literally talks about that on this call while he's sitting there talking with people who are running groups, running PACs that are filled with dark money. He's so full of shit. I don't know if they've just lost the plot. I don't know if they seriously don't understand that they are dark money, that that's who we're all talking about and who we want out of our politics, or if they know it and they just don't give a damn and they're just full of shit. But, oh my God, lawmakers don't vote based on what the majority of their constituents want. That's bipartisanship. When Republicans and independents and Democrats, meaning voters, want something, that is bipartisanship. That is what they should be voting for. But they won't do it. They won't. And let's be clear. Changing the filibuster doesn't change partisanship in Washington. If lawmakers wanted to, if they wanted to do what's right, if they wanted to do what their voters want, you would see bipartisanship with or without the filibuster. You would have Democrats voting for or against a bill based on their constituency. You would have Republicans voting for or against different bills based on what their constituents want. And both sides stick with their teams. This is not just a Republican thing. Democrats do it too. Voters don't give a rat's ass if bills are bipartisan. We want to see change. We want to see progress. I don't care who votes for it, whose idea it was. If a Republican came up with an incredible medical plan that would help people, that would protect people in this country, that would lower prescription drugs or make them free, if they came up with an alternative to Medicare for all, I would love for Democrats to vote for that. I don't give a damn who comes up with the ideas. Freaking vote for it if it's a great idea. You know, in a perfect world, in a utopian reality, we would have 30 Democrats and 30 Republicans voting together for or against something. And then we would have 20 on each side voting together, whether that be for or against whatever the bill may be. That's not the world we live in. And it's not going to change because Republicans don't stand for anything anymore except for Trump. They claim they want to further Trump's agenda, but Trump didn't further Trump's agenda. He didn't do what he said he was going to do, at least not the good things that would have actually made life better for everyone, not just white people. He didn't bring back jobs. He didn't get rid of the corruption and drain the swamp. He didn't give us better, cheaper healthcare like he promised. He didn't lower the cost of prescription drugs. He didn't do any of that, anything for we the people. He made everything better for corporations and the wealthy. That's it. That was not the agenda he ran on. So yeah, of course, Republicans want to further that typical Republican agenda, which is what Trump implemented after all of his bluster. And Democrats, as we can see with Manchin, when you've got corporate Democrats, meaning people like Manchin, people who are paid for, bought and paid for by corporations or by big money, dark money donors, just like this, like these people he was meeting with. That's who and what they stand for. Was Manchin meeting with his constituents, talking to them about all of this, telling them his thoughts and feelings and how he could make things work? No. He could reach out to his constituents. He could do what Bernie Sanders did. He could power his entire campaign with small dollar donations and work for we the people. But instead, he's on this call. He's on this call with dark money sources, talking about how he wants to get dark money out of politics. And how the only thing that matters is bipartisanship. It's all code, guys. They all know what it means. They all know that it means we want to stall any change in this country. We don't want the little people. We don't want average Americans rising up. We don't want average Americans to have money, to have security, to have safety, because if they did, they'd start looking around and questioning things. As long as people like you and I are busy worrying about how to put food on the table, how to keep a roof over our heads, how to pay for our children's education, how to pay for a car when one breaks down, how to cover our medical bills, we don't have time to expose them. We don't have time to watch over their shoulders, to make sure that their walk lines up with their talk, that what they're voting on actually matches with what they promised us. The last thing they want to do is take the pressure, take the financial burdens off of all of us, because we'll have more time to spend watching them. That's the truth of it. So until we get rid of the corporate Democrats like Manchin, and he's not the only one, he's the one in the spotlight right now because he's holding everything up, but make no mistake about it, about 95, 98% of the Democrats are the same thing. They're the same, cut from the same exact cloth. They care about their big money donors, not you and I. And they are only too happy to let people like Manchin take the fall, be the bad guy, and derail every bit of progress. That's just a fact. Anyway, guys, this was just, we know this goes on, but to hear it, to hear what they say behind closed doors when they think nobody's gonna hear this and word's not gonna get out, and how they literally just bribe people. I mean, they're talking about giving all these lawmakers, if they do the right thing, if these people follow their playbook, oh, they'll give them $50,000 each, and how in many cases it's the most money that any of them have received. How do you and I compete? We can't. There's no way we can compete with that. Not when our donations are capped at what is like $2,600, $2,800 for the year. They're not going to give a damn about you and I. We have to get big money. We have to get these dark money sources out of politics. And again, if SR1 doesn't pass, that's not going to happen. And that's why they don't want it to pass. That's why they don't want to end the filibuster. That's why they don't want SR1 to pass. That's why they're pushing so hard. And they're manipulating these lawmakers. That's why they're trying to throw a bone, not even to the lawmakers, but to you and I as the Democratic voters. Throw them a bone, show them we did something. We stood up for one thing. Are we going to settle for it? I'm not. All right, guys, if I hear any more, I'll let you know. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please take care. I'll talk with you soon. Remember to support, become a friend of the show. Click below. I would love to hang out with you guys every month. If you become a friend, we can hang out on Zoom. You guys can ask me anything you want. I promise to try to answer every question. But yeah, I want to get to know you guys. So take care. I'll talk with you soon.